Josh Hader, he's been in trade rumors for around a year now. And in today's video, we're going to talk about will the Milwaukee Brewers actually trade Josh Hader this offseason and what it would take to get a Josh Hader for some of these teams interested and other teams that would make sense too. So that's what we're going to talk about in today's video. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe, turn on notifications because 68% of you that watch these videos are not subscribed. Get your life together. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, leave a like. Nearly daily baseball content on this channel, so subscribe, turn on notifications, and leave a like. And let's go ahead and get into this video talking about the Milwaukee Brewers. Now, the Padres and Rays have been interested as of recently, and this is very interesting here because the Padres, they definitely could use a star-studded closer. Obviously, they do have Trevor Rosenthal, who's a very good one. But the Rays, they're an interesting team here because this doesn't seem like a Rays move, a huge blockbuster trade. But maybe the Rays do trade for a Josh Hader. Let's go and look at Josh Hader's stats from the last few seasons, and let's go and look at his contract too because that's a big deal here. A contract really could be a big deal. His contract is not a bad contract though. I don't think. So he's going to be getting paid around $7 million next season, and then in 2022 and 2023 will be arbitration years for Josh Hader and will be a 2024 unrestricted free agent. So Josh Hader is a very, very good relief pitcher. He's ranked number 10 in the rankings for relief pitchers by MLB.com. So in 2012, Baltimore Orioles drafted him with their 19th round pick, 582nd overall. Now, he could be a really good fit on the Baltimore Orioles team. That's obviously not what we're talking about this year. And he actually is from Maryland, so that's kind of interesting. He went to the hometown team there. 2020 stats, 1-2 with a 3.79 ERA, 21 games and 13 saves all in the season with a 0.95 whip. Overall, in the postseason career stats, 0-1 with a 1.46 ERA, 9 games in a 0.73 whip. He's only pitched 4 seasons in the major leagues. In 2017, he started off his major league career well with a 2-3 record with a 2.08 ERA, 35 games, 12 holds, and 1 save. So he wasn't really in that closer role yet. The Brewers obviously have an emerging, maybe superstar in the bullpen in Devin Williams. In 2018, Josh Hader, 6-1 with a 2.43 ERA with 21 holds and 12 saves. So he was just getting into that closer role. But 2019 had a really, really good season. 3-5 with a 2.62 ERA in 61 games, 37 saves. So he is a really, really good pitcher, and we all know that. That's not saying much at all there. But he had a really good 2019, and he's reliable for a lot of games, as you see by these stats, with 61, 21, 55, and 35. So he is reliable for a lot of games. He's a 2-time NL All-Star, once in 2018 and once in 2019. He even got the All-MLB First Team Award in 2019, and he's a 2-time NL Reliever of the Year in 2018 and 2019. So, Josh Hader, let's go and look at some of his splits because that's interesting. I think that's super interesting. So, at home, this year, he wasn't really that good. 1-1 with a 6.52 ERA. On the road, though, he was a lot better with an 0-1 with an 0.96. And, yeah. So, versus lefties, he's a lot better versus righties where he has a 2.35 ERA versus a 9.82 ERA. Now, this isn't a small sample size, so let's go and look back at 2019 because I don't really take too much into account to the 2020 season. As many people don't because 2020 was a weird season, 60 games, etc., etc. But now his stats in 2019, 2-2 with a 2.25 ERA versus 1-3 with a 3.03 ERA. The 3.03 ERA was on the road versus a home ERA of 2.25. Versus lefties, 2.50 versus righties, 2.65. He's about even versus each, and he's very, very good. That's what makes him so good. And overall in his MLB career, 12-11 with a 2.54 ERA in 172 games, 62 saves with an 0.86 whip. So Josh Hader, he's a very good player, top 10 closer in all of baseball. I think that 10 is a little crazy of a ranking for him, but I'm not ranking these players. MLB.com gets paid for that stuff, not me. So yeah, the Brewers depth chart. Let's go ahead and look at that right now because there's a lot of glaring needs here, and I'm going to advocate for why I think that they should trade Josh Hader here because their farm system is trash. It is garbage. Even though they do have Christian Yelich on your team and you would want to compete with Christian Yelich as long as you can, you've got to be realistic here. You need to trade Josh Hader. You need to get some prospects back. The asking price right now by the Brewers is absolutely crazy from what it's known so far. They're looking for MLB-ready now players along with prospects. So they're looking for a crazy package. And I don't know how much a team is really going to give up for a closer like a I just don't know. Are they going to really ruin their farm system for a closer? I don't really think they are, and I could be wrong here. The best prospect's Bryce Turank, who is got an ETA of 2023. Mario Feliciano, catcher, 2022 ETA. Tristan Lutz, right fielder, 2022 ETA. Ethan Small, left-handed pitcher, 2021 ETA. So their farm system is quite trash. I'm pretty sure not a single player made it to the top 100. So you could definitely use some prospects because the prospects just not it. And they really have never really had that good of a farm system, and that's why they have to keep being mediocre because they don't have that great of a farm system. They finished 4th in the NL Central and they ended up making the playoffs due to the expanded playoffs. 29-31 record, below 500. And yeah, so this offseason, they re-signed Jace Peterson, and that's about all the free agents they've really signed. Worth a crap. So your starting lineup for next season looks like Lorenzo Cain, Christian Yelich, Keston Hiura, Daniel Vogelbach, Avisail Garcia, Orlando Arcia, Omar Narvaez, and Luis Arias. So what are the glaring needs here? A glaring need right here is a shortstop for this team. Orlando Arcia is simply not doing it for this team. And they need a shortstop, a ready-now shortstop. So that's one thing of need here. A first baseman could definitely be a need because Daniel Vogelbach, he is so up and down. It's ridiculous. And those are the two main needs here, even a third baseman, because Luis Arias is not really a third baseman. He's more of a second baseman, but Keston Hiura is already at that position. And you can use all the pitching possible. Even though your bullpen does look pretty decent, and that dynamic duo of Devin Williams and Josh Hader is great, besides that, you're just kind of not that great out of the bullpen. And your starting pitching really could use some help as well. So, yeah. That's pretty self-explanatory there. So they need some prospects, and that's their main need here, and that's what they're looking for back mostly in a trade. So let's go and look at Bleacher Report. They posted an article like 2 months ago, which is kind of dumb that I'm like looking at it now, but you know, it's happening. So yeah, so the top teams on their list are the Braves, the Dodgers, the Mets, the Phillies, the Padres, and the Blue Jays. So very interesting here. But let's go and look at some of the teams that are here that are interested, and do they really have the prospects, and what prospects will it take to actually end up trading for a Josh Hader type player when they're looking for this crazy trade package, which I don't think they're going to get, honestly. I don't think it's going to happen. First team's the New York Mets. Shocker, shocker there, right? Mets have been interested in everybody this offseason. They finished 5th in the NL East, which most likely will not happen in 2021, where they finished with a 26-34 overall record. So, they have not brought back many other free agents. They've mostly signed some free agents in Trevor May and others. Marcus Stroman, they obviously brought back. They do have some good prospects here with Ronnie Mauricio, who's a shortstop, exactly what I think that they need here. And you've got a Mark Vianos, a third baseman, a Brett Beatty, a third baseman, a lot of young pitching through here. So they have some assets to trade for Josh Hader here. Now, what do you have to give up for Josh Hader here? I don't think Josh Hader's value is going to be extremely, extremely high. I think maybe a Brett Beatty or Matthew Allen's move, their number 4 or number 5 prospect here. I think that maybe you traded David Peterson here, who could be decent for them, a left-handed pitcher who's already ready to come up. Maybe even a like Pete Crow Armstrong, who they just drafted in 2020, is included in this deal, who could be very good. And some players like those, maybe even a Robert Dominguez, some players that are maybe farther away for this Brewers team could be good because they don't have a lot of prospects that are far away. And I don't think you're getting a Ronnie Mauricio here or Mark Vientos. I think you're getting a Mark Vientos or a Brett Bay here. I think that's something you can do. But I just don't think that a Ronnie Mauricio is happening here. The Mets definitely have the assets. It's just, do they want to throw all their assets in to get Josh Hader, who they definitely could use? And I mean, you could even say that maybe an Edwin Diaz would be included in this trade because they have no use for him anymore. But Steve Cohen has already said, as their new owner, that he doesn't want to just make moves stupidly, and he doesn't want to just give up their whole farm system. And I think he would be leaning towards more of giving up his whole farm system here. And I don't really think that's what he wants to do because he could sign a Trevor Bauer. We don't know. And maybe when this video comes out, we already know that Bauer's signing with the Mets or another team. And here, maybe you could get like a Brandon Nimmo back who could be an outfielder or a J.D. Davis or a player like that. Dominic Smith even, but the Mets have assets. I just don't think they're going to put all their assets in to trade for a Josh Hader. I don't think they're going to prioritize that when they have a pretty good closer already in Edwin Diaz. So, yeah. Next team's the New York Yankees. We've seen these rumors for I don't even know how long, but the Yankees remain interested in about everybody you can name. But is Josh Hader really the biggest need for this team? You already have Aroldis Chapman and other great relief pitching. I don't necessarily think that I would take all my assets here and trade it in for a player like a Josh Hader, which is not that much of a need, I don't think, on this team. Here with let's look at their bullpen. You've got Aroldis Chapman, Zach Britton, Chad Green, Darren O'Day, Luis Cessa. They've got so many good arms in this bullpen. There's no need for a player like that, I don't think. I mean, unless you're giving Chapman back, which would be a huge blockbuster. Garrett Cole, Corey Kluber, Jameson Tyne. I think you're relying a lot on the health of players like Corey Kluber and Jameson Tyne here. So maybe you could put all these assets in that you have, like a Deivi Garcia or a Clark Schmidt or a player like that, to trade for a Luis Castillo type player, because I think that could be very, very good for this team. Jason Dominguez, he's not going anywhere. Don't even get the idea that he's going anywhere. His ETA is 2025. He is going to be great when he comes up. Now, Clark Schmidt is an asset that could be on the move here along with Deivi Garcia. Both of those could be on the move here anytime. And one of those is probably going to have to be traded. I don't see them trading Gleyber Torres. And their hitting is absolutely fine, just along with their relief pitching. Both are absolutely fine. All they need is a number 2 certified starting pitcher, because I feel like you're guaranteeing too much on Corey Kluber and Jameson Tyne. You're just hoping for a lot that who knows will happen. So I think that that's the best idea here. They have lost some free agents this offseason, like a Tommy Kahnle. And obviously their big move up and J.A. Happ. But their biggest move this offseason was re-signing DJ LeMahieu. And that's what everybody wanted them to do this offseason, and that's what they did. And this team needs a number 2 certified starting pitcher, even if that is bringing a Sonny Gray back. I know he wasn't I think he was probably one of the most hated in New York, but the New York market just didn't work well with Sonny Gray. Next team's the Tampa Bay Rays here, and the Rays are an interesting team here. Because we know the Rays as a team that do not spend a ton of money, but are still great at doing what they do when they don't spend a lot of money. So Josh Hader's not going to cost you a lot, but he's going to cost you a lot when he hits those free agent years in 2022 and 2023 where he's arbitration eligible, or 2024, I meant. So the Rays, they have the prospects to get it done. Do not get me wrong. Their farm system is absolutely stacked. They've got players like Shane Bass, Randy Arozarena. I don't think it's going anywhere. Xavier Edwards, Brett Honeywell, Josh Lowe, Vidal Bruján, Brendan McCabe, Wander Franco. They have the best ranked farm system in all of baseball. So they definitely have the assets to trade for Josh Hader here. And here's the thing. It just comes down to the fact, are they putting all of these prospects to get a player like a Josh Hader? And it would make a ton of sense because that bullpen's already nasty with Pete Fairbanks, Nick Anderson, Diego Castillo, Ryan Thompson, players like that. Nick Anderson with your 8th inning and Josh Hader in your 9th inning, that is crazy good here. And your starting pitching is also very, very good with Tyler Glasnow, Ryan Yarbrough, Michael Wacha, Trevor Richards, Josh Fleming. I think your starting pitching still could use maybe 1 or 2 more players, but your hitting's good too with Austin Meadows, Brandon Lau, Randy Arozarena, players like that. And you obviously lost Charlie Morton, which is a huge loss this offseason. And that's one of the bigger losses this offseason. They traded Jose Alvarado to the Phillies, and they obviously traded Blake Snell to the Padres, which was one of their bigger moves. They're probably their biggest move this offseason. But Josh Hader would make a ton of sense to this team, and that bullpen's deadly in the 8th and 9th inning. I don't think you're getting a run off those in the 8th or 9th inning. Now, what's it going to take here? I think it's going to take a Brendan McKay here. And I think it's going to take Xavier Edwards or Vidal Brujan one. There's no way I think they're giving up on Wander Franco here. I just don't. Maybe even a Shane McGlanley is included in this trade or Shane Bass. Both of those could definitely be included in this trade. They have the best farm system in all of baseball. They have the assets. It's just, are they going to trade all of these assets to get a Josh Hader type player, which is it their biggest need? Probably not. But he would be very good for this team. Next is the San Diego Padres here, and they are another interesting team. And here's the thing with the Padres. The Padres have already made a ton of moves this offseason. And who knows when we're talking here of a potential Josh Hader trade. We could be talking 2023. We could be talking whenever. But if we're being honest, they didn't have to give up a ton of their farm system to get a Yu Darvish or a Blake Snell or a player like that. They still have Luis Campesino, C.J. Abrams, Luis Patino, Mackenzie Gore, Taylor Trammell, Adrian Morejon, Hudson Head, even Jake Cronenworth, and other assets in this farm system. They are in a great position to trade for a player like a Josh Hader. And even Mackenzie Gore is here, still on their team after getting Blake Snell and Yu Darvish. So they have a great lineup with Trent Grisham, Fernando Tatis Jr., Manny Machado, Eric Hosmer, Tommy Pham, Will Myers, Jake Cronenworth, and Austin Nola. They have some good bench pieces too in Hassan Kim, Jerkson Profar, Jorge Mateo, and Victor Caratini. So their starting rotation, it looks absolutely fantastic. With Yu Darvish, Blake Snell, Dinelson Lamet, Joe Musgrove, and Chris Paddock. And that's not even mentioning the fact that they still have another all-star type player and a top 10 pitcher in the league in Mike Clevinger, who will be in Tommy John surgery for 2020. And yeah. But they could definitely use a player like Josh Hader because Drew Pomeranz, I'm just not really seeing him as a closer. I think he would be a great 8th inning guy. I think Emilio Pagan would be a great 7th inning guy. But I don't think either of those players are closers. We have seen flashes of where Emilio Pagan could be a good relief pitcher. But I'm just not sure that I'm betting on that. So the Padres are more of a team that they trade for their players. When they get their players, they trade for their players. Because they have 23 traded players that they've got in trades compared to 10 homegrown players, which would mean that have came up through their farm system fully, which doesn't really happen that often, and 7 free agents. So they finished with a 37-23 record. And like I said, they definitely have the assets to trade for him. And I don't think Mackenzie Gore is going here. I really don't. As much as I think the Brewers will want him in a trade, you're not getting him. So, yeah. I think a Luis Campesino is probably included in this trade because Omar Narvaez, he could walk in free agency. I think he's a free agent after next season, so he could definitely walk. For the Padres, they could definitely trade for him, and we know AJ Preller is he's a GM that's going to make his moves, and he's going to make big moves. He's not going to wait around a long time, but he's going to make his moves, and he's going to make his moves and go on and have a very good team. And I love the way that he's going about his GM ways in San Diego. He's getting veterans along with younger players, and he's just getting the perfect players in San Diego. But that's for a totally different video. So, Atlanta Braves are our next team. And they finished with a 35-25 record. Now, this is mostly going off here the fact that they're not able to bring back a Mark Melancon, a Shane Green, a player like that. And if they're not able to bring back those, their bullpen is in a little bit of a tough position because Will Smith can be very good, but he's not necessarily a closer type player. And that's the same with Chris Martin. Now, they have a star-studded rotation, I would say, with Max Fried, Mike Soroka, Charlie Morton, Ian Anderson, and Drew Smyly. Now, their starting lineup's great, too. Ronald Acuna, Dansby Swanson, Freddie Freeman, Travis d'Arnaud, Ozzie Albies, Austin Riley, Ender Inciarte, and Christian Pache. So, yeah, they have a great farm system. And they have a great farm system, too, which is the even scarier thing. Where they have Christian Pache, Drew Waters, Kyle Wright, Rice Wilson, William Contreras, Tucker Davidson, Shea Langeliers, Brandon Shoemake, Kyle Muller. Those are the top 10 right there. All very, very good players. Now, I think Christian Pache or Drew Waters, one is going to have to go in this trade. I think it's going to be more of Drew Waters here. Drew Waters probably along with a Brandon Shoemake would probably make a lot of sense here, or a Kyle Muller and a couple other pitching prospects could probably get this trade done. They want ready-now players, and the Braves have that. They have ready-now players in their farm system that are ready to make an impact for a Major League Baseball team right now. And that's what they're looking for, ready-now players and some prospects. And the Braves have the perfect mix of that. So that's what makes them a scary trade team here. And next is the LA Dodgers. And the Dodgers, they could kind of be rumored to get everybody, and they have a lot of assets that the Brewers would definitely want. You have Dustin May, Tony Gonsolin, other players like that obviously a team like the Brewers would want back. A team that struggles in the starting pitching department would obviously want these type players back. You're not getting a Walker Buehler or Clayton Kershaw. It's just not happening. Their lineup's very good with Mookie Betts, Corey Seager, Max Muncy, Will Smith, Cody Bellinger, A.J. Pollock, Edwin Rios, and Chris Taylor. Now, their bench is going to look like Austin Barnes, Gavin Lux, Matt Beattie, Zach McKinstry, and DJ Peters. Now, their starting pitching is very, very good as well, with David Price, Julio Urias, Dustin May, Walker Buehler, and Clayton Kershaw. I'll lean more towards the fact that if they're making a trade here and they're making a splash here, I think that Tony Gonsolin's going. Because he seems like the odd man out in the rotation, and I think he's the one to be traded. And is a relief pitcher the biggest need for the Dodgers? Absolutely not. They have Kenley Jansen, Blake Trinan, Brusdar Graterol, Joe Kelly, and Corey Knebel in that bullpen. That's not their biggest need. But if they want a relief pitcher, then they can get a relief pitcher. And they've re-signed Blake Trinan. Pedro Baez obviously left in free agency this offseason, along with Jock Peterson and Kiki Hernandez. So let's go and look at some of their top prospects here. You've got players like Gavin Lux, who could definitely be included in this trade. Josiah Gray, Dustin May, Gavin Lux, Keibert Urias, Brusdar Graterol. They've got a pretty good farm system here. And the Dodgers, it's not their biggest need, but if they want to trade for Josh Hader, they can trade for Josh Hader. Because all these assets that the Brewers want in return for Josh Hader, it's not happening. As good as a player that I think Josh Hader is, and that I know Josh Hader is, he's not that valuable to MLB teams that they're like, well, I'm just going to give up my whole farm system and all of my pretty good prospects that are ready now players. So I don't really think that that's going to happen. So, yeah. Next and final team here is the Toronto Blue Jays, who have made some big splashes this offseason. And, yeah, so they have a great lineup with George Springer, Marcus Semien, Bo Bichette, Teoscar Hernandez, Vlad Guerrero, Kevin Biggio, Lourdes Gurriel, Rowdy Tellez, and Danny Jansen. A bench of Reese McGuire, Santiago Espinal, I don't know how to pronounce the name, Derek Fisher, and Randall Grichuk. So, their biggest problem, though, is their relief pitching, I personally think. Even though I do think they need some starting pitching, their relief pitching is their biggest problem. Kirby Yates is going to be good out of that bullpen. That's not much of a problem there. He's going to be very good out of that bullpen. But Kirby Yates and Josh Hader is dangerous. And this team still has assets to do it. And I still think that they're going to trade for Luis Castillo, Sonny Gray, Josh Hader, some type of player in there. And I think that it's going to be more of a Josh Hader or a Luis Castillo here. They have Simon Woods Richardson, Jordan Groshans, or Lavius Martinez in their farm system, Alex Mignon, Alejandro Kirk, Gabriel Morano. They've got a lot of good prospects in their farm system, and their farm system is one of the better in baseball. But you add Josh Hader to this team, and you are looking even scarier. Now, yeah, so they could definitely get a trade done. Now, let's go ahead and rule out some teams that it just doesn't seem right, in my opinion. I don't think the Yankees are trading for Josh Hader. I don't think the Rays are trading for Josh Hader. As much as I would love to see it, I don't think Josh Hader is going to the Rays. It just doesn't seem like a Rays type of move. It just doesn't seem like a realistic thing there. So, Mets, they're definitely an option here. Where the Padres, the Dodgers, I just don't see it. So the Blue Jays, Braves, Padres, and Mets are here, and the Mets, they could definitely get a trade done. Any of these teams could get a trade done. And yeah, will a Josh Hader trade happen this offseason? That's kind of the question you've probably been waiting for. And I don't think a Josh Hader trade will be done this offseason. And the reason I don't is just because I think the Brewers can compete in this NL Central with some more pitching. And yeah, now do I think they should trade Josh Hader? My answer is yes, because I think that they should try to get more prospects and try to get more players worth value in their farm system, because their farm system's quite terrible. And as good as a Christian Yelich team can be, he doesn't have the proper team around him that he needs to be successful to win. And that's his biggest problem right now in Milwaukee. And that's why they need to trade Josh Hader. They need to get some better prospects back, and they just need to. And if Christian Yelich is not happy there, then he can go too. Because at the end of the day, you need to be good for the future too, and you can't just be, because they're obviously mediocre right now. They are a mediocre baseball team right now that can finish in third or fourth place, maybe even second place in a weak division in the NL Central. That's their luxury here. That the Pirates aren't completing, which obviously gives them a fourth place spot pretty much guaranteed there. And you've got the Reds, and they're, who knows? Cubs, once again, who knows? So I think the Reds and Cubs can definitely compete with their current rosters. And I think, what do I project this Brewers team right now to be? I still see concerns with their starting pitching. And besides Devin Williams and besides Josh Hader, their bullpen's just kind of mediocre there. And their bullpen their starting lineup, like, it's okay. Like, it's not just, like, I'm so excited to see the Brewers. They're a mediocre team that are stuck in the middle, and this trade could put them maybe over the hump, or it could put them to the rebuild scenario. They need to find which way they're going for the future, because they obviously do not know right now. And they could sign a free agent that could really show where they're going. But after a pretty disappointing 2020 season, I just think that they should really head towards that rebuild scenario, because they are mediocre, and the Cardinals, as long as Nolan Arenado stays there, will be the team to beat in that division. So yeah, that's my thoughts and opinions on these Josh Hader rumors. I know this was a super long video. If you made it to the end, you're a legend. So leave a like, subscribe, turn on notifications. If you made it 35 through the video, then you had to enjoy something. So leave a like, subscribe, turn on notifications. 68% of you that watch these videos are not subscribed. Get your life together. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, leave a like. Thank you for watching, and peace. Trade Josh Hader now, Milwaukee. Come on. Thank you for watching, and peace.